Hi guys, thanks for joining me today. Now on today's video, I'm going to work with Silhouette Studio Business Edition and make a rhinestone template. There's a fellow YouTuber that I follow and her channel is called 755 Media. Now she is always shouting out others, she supports others, so today I want to do something nice for her and for her sister. So I'm going to make a rhinestone transfer. Now her shirt's going to be really simple. It's just going to say 755. So I'm going to click on the A to get my text tool and then click right over here on the canvas. Then I'll type 755. Now I want a really bulky font, so I'll change it to Arial Black. All right, let me click off of it and back on it, then I can drag it to the size I want. I want the rhinestone design to be about 10 inches wide and about 6 inches tall. Now right now it says my design is over 7 inches tall, but notice 2 inches there and 1.5 inches down here really don't have anything on them. So I'll have to factor that in when I make this. Let's go ahead and drag it taller. Okay, so each square is 1 inch. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a little over 5. Let's go ahead and bring this down to about 6. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, almost 10 wide. Let's go just a little bit wider. Now to work with rhinestones, I like to change these to a color. So I'm going to use a fill of a red. That doesn't mean I'm going to use red rhinestones. This is just really easy to see on the screen. Now to change this to a rhinestone template, you come right down here and you open the rhinestone panel. The standard size that I use on fabric with Hotfix rhinestones is an SS10 or a 10SS size. If you want to add a rhinestone effect, if you click on this, you'll have rhinestones around the design. This one will give you a linear fill, and this will give you a radial fill. Now while these curves look nice, this one fills in a little bit better. So I'm going to use that today. Right now, it says I'm going to use 1,123 stones with this design. For now, until I do more to this, look what happens. If I drag the size of this, I still have the same size of rhinestones. I just have less of them. See? 720. But let me go back. I like the other size better. It filled in with a lot more. Now I'm up to 1,123. So for a while, you can play with your design. You can stretch it, resize it. It's going to add rhinestones or take away rhinestones, but the size will stay correct. It's important that your holes be the right size for this size of rhinestone. So after you save this project and take it into, say, Cricut Design Space, you can't just make it larger and expect it to work. The holes will stretch and they won't be the right size. Okay, I'm going to stretch this just a little bit more. Then there's a few things about this design I don't like. What I need to do to be able to work with individual rhinestones is click right here where it says Release Rhinestones. So I'll click on that. It takes a little bit of time for the software to work this out, but now you see little individual squares around each stone. The other thing is, notice that now it truly is the measurement of just the rhinestone template and not all the extra white space. Okay, to work on this part, I'm going to zoom in. So I hit the command and the plus sign. Then I'm going to click off my template. I don't like how these 4 stones are just sitting there. So I'm going to drag so that I touch those 4 stones. It selects them, then I can hit my delete key. I'll do the same thing on this side. All you have to do is touch them for it to select them. And then I don't like these 4 here. So I'll get rid of those on each side. Now the only other couple things I see that I'm really not happy with is down on the bottom and right here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select one stone, do Command C for copy, Command V for paste. Then I'm going to put it up into place. You can either drag it with your cursor or you can use your arrow keys. Then I'll do another Command Paste. And I'll move it to this side. Okay, I'm going to do the exact same thing here. So here's something I can do. I can delete those four. Whoops, I missed that one. Then I can select this whole row, do Command C for copy, Command V for paste, and drag it over into place. Now to match the other side, it looks like it needs to go to the left just a little bit. All right, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more. And I'm going to fit a circle in right here. So I'll click on a circle, do Command C, Command V. It's right here. And I'm just going to plop that down into place. I think that looks just a little bit better. So I'll do the same thing over here. I'll put it basically where I want it, and then I can use the down and the side arrow key to refine it. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and select every stone. Notice I have 1,192 stones now. I'll go up to Object and Group. Just like the other functions when you're working with rhinestones, it takes the software a minute, so just be patient. And then I'm ready to save this. I'll save it to my desktop, then I'll bring it into Cricut Design Space. Now I'm going to take a screenshot of this because when I take it into Cricut Design Space, I want to make sure that my measurements are 6.058 by 10.282. I'm going to save it as an SVG, and I'll save it just as 755. I'm going to use my Cricut Maker, so I've opened Cricut Design Space, and the first thing that I'll do is I'll click Upload, Upload Image, and then I'll browse on my desktop and I'll find my 755 SVG file. So I will say open that file. Because it's a large file, it does take a while for it to come in. All right, here it is. It's already an SVG, so now I just say upload. Now that it's a recent upload, I can click on it and say add to canvas. Now, I fully expect this to come in the wrong size, but let's see. Usually they come in ridiculously small or ridiculously large. And in this case, my whole image came in at about 1/5 of an inch by, I don't know, 1/6 or 1/7 of an inch. So tiny. So here's where it's important that you know the dimensions of your file, either through a screenshot, notes, or save it in the file name. The height of mine is supposed to be 6.058. Now the dimensions are locked, so when I hit enter, this should become 10.282. Let's see if it does. And it did. So I should be just fine. For a reality check, I'm going to go ahead and ungroup these. Then I'll click on one circle and it should be about 0.13 inches, and it is. So a good hole size for SS10s is between 0.13 and 0.135. So I'm happy with that. Now I was just going to go back and group those all together, but I noticed that my 7 is kind of a long way from my 5. So I'll select, oh, I need to ungroup all of those. Okay, so I'll ungroup even farther. Now I can select the rhinestones in my 7, and I can move that over to the right. You see how close it is here? And it's fairly close here. Well, there's so much space right here that I felt like this needed to be just a little bit closer to the 5. Now that I'm happy with the whole design, I'm going to go ahead and weld it together. Now it'll take a little bit for the software to accomplish that weld, but I feel like the machine works better when all these circles are welded together than just grouped or attached. Maybe that's my imagination. For some reason, I just like for them to be welded. Now, sometimes what I'll do is I'll actually keep the design unwelded I'll make a copy of it and I'll just weld the copy. That way, if I ever want to make changes to it, I can. In this case, this is a one-time design, so I'm not concerned with having that extra copy. Now, just in case you do this, I do want you to know that probably took 45 seconds for the software to do that weld. So if you're sitting there, just give it some time. It'll probably work out. At this point, I'm going to say make it. Then I'm going to move my design over a little bit. That way I can have rhinestone flock above it and on each side of it. I'll say continue. Then I'll browse my materials, and I have a custom setting for rhinestone flock. In this case, I'm going to cut it without the backing, so I'll use that setting, and I'll say done. Okay, let's see how this cut. And this is my least favorite part of doing rhinestones, because for some reason my cuts don't come out super clean. So notice a lot of the blue dots are staying on my cutting mat, but a lot of them stay in my template. And for some reason on my Cricut, a lot of them, there's just one little bitty spot that's still attached. And I've tried to calibrate my blade. You can only calibrate knife blades and pins, so that's what I tried to do, hoping that would help. So there's some tricks you can do. You can lay it back down, pull it up, some more will stay on. You can put it on your table, rub on it really well, pull it up, some more will stay down. But in any event, I have a lot of dots to pull out of here. Let me try another trick. See if this gets some of them out. This is some Cricut Strong Grip transfer tape. See what happens if I do this. Ooh, that got a lot out. Wow, that is really nice. But this design could take quite a bit of transfer tape. So I really just wish my blade would cut all the way around the circle and not leave one little area attached. All right, so I'm going to get this cleaned up and then we'll brush the rhinestones in. Okay, so here's my template, and I'm just going to stick this down on my table. I was using a little tray, and then somebody let me know that the sides of the tray make it harder to get your transfer tape on because you might run into the tray edges. So I'm just going to do it on my tabletop. And then for this transfer, I'm going to use clear SS10 rhinestones. And I'll just lay a bunch down on my design, more than I probably need. And then I have this little trim brush. You can get these at Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, those places. They're in the paint section. And I'm just going to lightly brush these in a circular motion. Now I'll get most of the holes filled, but I'm probably going to have to go back with either tweezers or my rhinestone picker. I'll probably have to set some in. I'll probably have to pull some extra ones out. And then before I add it to my transfer tape, I'll look at it real closely just to make sure there's no problems with it. Okay, so I'm just going to start brushing all the extra ones off. And for those of you that do rhinestones, you're probably laughing right now because I have so many extra ones on this middle 5. The main thing is you just kind of have to have a light hand. I'm not putting a ton of pressure as I'm rubbing these off. Really, I'm just letting the weight of the brush do it. Now, people more experienced than I am, like Matt on the Rhinestone World, when he sees holes, he'll often bring some more back in, roll them around, and they fill in. And that worked. So once I have most of those filled in, my next step is to add rhinestones where I'm missing them. And then I see a couple extras here. So I'll just pick up one of the extras and move it to a hole. Now I'll inspect better before I'm ready to finish this off, but I think this 5 is done. So I'm going to move to this one, pick up any extras that I find. And I don't really see any other extras, so now I'm just picking up extra stones from over here, setting them in place. Now I did notice when I was looking, I think I have one upside down. Yeah, right there. So I'll fix that in just a minute. Okay, so here's my one that's upside down. I'm just going to flip that guy over. Oh, I just knocked those out with my hand. Now I need to move these away from the template so when I put my transfer tape down, I don't grab any extras. Okay, so here comes the hardest part of doing rhinestones. At least it's the hardest part for me. Pulling out all the extra circles is tedious, but it's not hard. So I'm going to pull the 2 pieces of this transfer tape apart. This is the sticky part and the sticky side's down. Now, when you do this, you kind of have to just commit. And then if stones are a little bit not in the right place, you can manipulate them with your fingernail or your rhinestone picker tool. So I see one up here is out. Let me push that back in. So I'm just going to spend a little bit of time getting them back exactly where they need to be. Then I'll show you what this is going to look like. Okay, I see I missed an extra one there. So when I lift this up, I'll get rid of that. Were any of you yelling at me in the video when I didn't see that? That's what I do. Now I think other than that extra one, this is pretty good. Now typically I wouldn't do this, but since I'm shipping it, I'm going to put something heavy and flat on it and push down on this. Hopefully that will just help the transfer tape adhere better to the rhinestones. Okay, I'm going to try to lift these up and get that extra one out. Now I saw one that didn't stick. So just put the tape back down and push down harder. Hopefully I took out the right one. Now these are something that the baby's booty showed quite some time ago that she liked to put her flock templates on. I think I'm going to adhere the flock with the rhinestones in it down to this, squeeze it between two thin boards, tape it, and ship it like that. Now here's my other rhinestone transfer. It's in two pieces because I cut the first third or fourth of the template, then I paused my machine, I cleaned my blade, and when I put the blade back in, I didn't have it seated all the way down in the housing, and so the rest of the template didn't cut. So then when I came back, I just cut the bottom part of it and pieced them together. This time, I was smart enough to put my flock down on this backing that I'll ship with this, and that was so much easier than transferring it to the backing later. And then 755, if you want to Facebook message me, you and your sister's shirt sizes, I would be happy to put these on shirts and just mail you the shirts. But either way is fine with me. Just let me know. Thanks so much, everybody, for stopping by and spending time with me today. And until my next video, bye-bye.